I just got home and realized that we haven't really posted or published anything with regard to the history of the Association of Catholic Apologists, Knights of Saint Justin Martyr. And I thought that making a video about it would be a great opportunity to present the identity of our organization to many people, especially those who are constantly listening to our or watching our videos and reading our posts in Apologia Davao. And so I thought that maybe we could talk about that right now. So today, I'm going to read and partly discuss a piece that I wrote a few months ago, May or June 2021. It's a short historical account on how ACA-Knights of Saint Justin Martyr came about. So it's composed of first part is a somehow a prologue or a pre-history of ACA, and then the history of ACA, how it started and its developments in the past few years that we've operated, and where we are now today. So let's start. The whole idea of an Association of Catholic Apologists, or ACA, was first conceived in the mind of Sir Ritchel Lagumbay in the year 2006, following his exit, together with many colleagues from the Catholic faith defenders here in Davao City, particularly in San Pedro Cathedral. However, at that time, the administration of San Pedro Cathedral of the Archdiocese of Davao is somehow strict in terms of the groups and the nature of the organizations that they allow to operate in the parish. And so at that time, Sir Ritchel registered ACA in the Cathedral Formation Ministry as Adult Catechetical Apostolate. So because he understood that each parish needs to have an organization that is focused on catechizing, especially on adult converts and other Catholic faithful that are directly under San Pedro Cathedral as a parish. So, a year later, in the year 2007, many Catholic apologists who operates under the Adult Catechetical Apostolate became tired of being teased by Protestants as mere catechists in Osmeña Park, the public square where religious debates are held. So when they are called or they are teased as mere catechists, what the Protestant really meant is that they're not worth having a conversation with, especially a debate between Christians, between Catholic Christian and a Protestant. And so, because of this, the Lay Catholic Apologists, or LCA, was organized under the leadership of Mr. Romulo Seno II. The relationship between these two organizations, the Adult Catechetical Apostolate on one hand and the Lay Catholic Apologists on the other, became like a 1-2 punch, wherein the apostolate became primarily concerned with the Catholic faithful, while LCA is directly concerned with religious debates. Well, this is just an unwritten arrangement between the two organizations. There aren't really any formal written agreement that this should be the arrangement between them, between the two organizations. But nevertheless, the relationship between two organizations is too close, such that members of the LCA were considered immediately as accepted members of the Adult Catechetical Apostolate. But that's just the prehistory of the Association of Catholic Apologists, because 10 years later, in 2017, there was a tension within the Lay Catholic Apologists. So somehow this concerns me, so I'll just give a little bit of background of my experience in the formation ministry. So I my first experience in San Pedro Cathedral in terms of the formation ministry is when I joined the Catholic Faith Defenders San Pedro Cathedral chapter in year 2016. Well, not really formally a member because I did not submit a membership form because their membership form said that you must be at least 18 years old to join the organization. But at that time, I think I was only 14 years old, and I thought that I should not submit the membership form, even if the members, some of my friends in CFD were telling me that I should just submit and they would consider. But I thought that that would mean infidelity to the constitution that the CFD themselves have. So I think that joining a particular organization and not submitting yourself to the constitution of the organization that's just I just don't want to do that, so I didn't submit. Anyway, because of some personal reasons, I stopped attending classes of the CFD and joined the Lay Catholic Apologists of Davao at that time. Now they're called, I think, Lay Catholic Apologists International. And then I was accepted in September 2017, and then in November 2017, I was elected as the council coordinator of the LCA Council of Saint Athanasius, that is the San Pedro Cathedral chapter of the LCA. So in this time, in 2017, I was already member of the Lay Catholic Apologists. And the tension within the Lay Catholic Apologists at that time was both doctrinal and disciplinary in nature. And it arose particularly because I had batchmates who in the same year entered the LCA. In fact, we were accepted on the same ceremony. So there were what we can call ultra-traditionalists. These are the people who openly speak against the Second Vatican Council and all liturgical reformations and restorations that followed. So I think they reject the Novus Ordo. They will not attend the Novus Ordo. So most of these members attend traditional Latin Mass celebrated by priests from the Fraternal Society of Saint Pius X, a fraternal society that whose status in the church is somehow irregular, we might say. And so even in the Red Book of Archbishop Romulo Valles, the Archbishop specifically wrote that Catholic faithfuls are discouraged to go to SSPX masses because of their irregular status in the church. So in any case, the tension aggravated through the many discussions that we had, especially in Messenger, Facebook Messenger, specifically in LCA Council of Saint Athanasius. The leadership of that council was just recently transferred from the president to me at that time. And although half of the members of the local council were ultra-traditionalists, half of the members of the council were my batchmates when we entered the organization. Those people were met with an opposition that I would claim are loyal to the church hierarchy and supportive of the Second Vatican Council, because we thought that all of the church councils were guided by the Holy Spirit. But although we were supportive of the Second Vatican Council, we were also strongly opposed to liturgical abuses. We said clearly in many meetings and many discussions that we don't want liturgical abuses. However, we don't think that that liturgical abuses take root in the fact that we are celebrating the new rite. We say that it comes from human weakness rather than the question rather than the rite itself, because they are questioning the validity of the new rite. They are questioning even the validity of the council. They're saying that there are many things wrong in the council documents, although they weren't able to point out and justify what those mistakes are. Anyway, this opposition, um, the opposition against the ultra traditionalists in the organization were comprised of the council coordinator, yours truly, Raven Jard Castañeda, the adult catechetical apostolate founder, Sir Ritchel Lagumbay, the LCA spiritual director, Reverend Father Nelson Seno Cabasisi, who at that time was assigned in the Diocese of Saitama in Japan, but now he is assigned in the Diocese of Maasin in Southern Leyte. And then John Ryle Domine, Christian Kobe Marilao, Jade Fernandez, Emmanuel Potot, Estrella Compuesto, the only woman in the group, Bernardino Kausapin, and Ayan Orapa. Because of online discussions about the matter, the issue spiraled out into a disciplinary matter, wherein some of those who are ultra-traditionalists personally attacked Father Nelson Cabasisi. Father Cabasisi, who is also part of the LCA Supreme Council, requested the president for a Supreme Council meeting, but the request was ignored, I would say. It was repeatedly requested by the spiritual director, but it was ignored. However, it was ignored until May 2018. But although disciplinary matters were resolved in the meeting that was held in San Pedro Cathedral Auditorium, I think in May, third week of May 2018, that meeting was held. The doctrinal matters, however, were not settled, especially those as regards to liturgy and ecclesiology. And I know that you might think that we don't have the authority to settle doctrinal matters, but that's not really what I mean. What I mean is that there are disputes about what the Catholic doctrine is with regard to liturgy and ecclesiology, and there were no agreements between members at the end of the meeting. Even if our spiritual director already gave his position about these doctrinal matters, as that is his responsibility as the spiritual director of the organization, and those people did not accept it. So the discussions and debates continued throughout the remaining days of May 2018. And it was under this circumstance that in a private meeting with Mr. Lagumbay, Sir Ritchel Lagumbay, and Father Nelson Cabasisi, that I proposed to organize a different community of Catholic apologists. I said that if they don't want to listen to our spiritual director, then I'm out. And Father Nelson also said he's out. So this proposal was then accepted by all the aforementioned members of the opposition at that time. I would say opposition because the president was really on their side, in the ultra-traditionalist side, although partly secretly. Ironically, the opposition was comprised of members faithful to the church hierarchy and supportive of the council. So that's a little bit funny. This is because it was revealed in the last days of May 2018 that the LCA president himself was not only doubtful but highly critical of the council, especially in the liturgical reforms based on the documents Sacrosanctum Concilium and of other statements in the documents like In Gaudium et Spes, Lumen Gentium, and Dignitatis Humanae. And so, after a meeting with Father Nelson Cabasisi, Sir Ritchel Lagumbay, and I think Sir Jade Fernandez was also there. we decided to declare that we were creating a new group in the first day of June 2018. And so, if anyone's wondering why we have the name Knights of Saint Justin Martyr, it is because the first day of June is the feast day of Saint Justin Martyr in the new calendar. So it is in that day that the new ACA, which was reorganized from the Adult Catechetical Apostolate to Association of Catholic Apologists, Knights of Saint Justin Martyr, was formally introduced publicly and to the formation ministry. So although the group already existed in the days leading to June 1, because we were already thinking about how to organize this, if this is possible, that we will have 3 apologetics group within the formation ministry. But in any case, the anniversary of the group is celebrated usually on June 1 as a double celebration with the feast day of our patron, Saint Justin Martyr, the first Christian apologist and founded arguably the first school of Christian philosophy in Rome. All of the aforementioned members of the opposition are now recognized as founders of the Association of Catholic Apologists, Knights of Saint Justin Martyr, while the past members of Adult Catechetical Apostolate, who weren't really there when we were in the middle of many debates, discussions, and meetings with the ultra-traditionalists, those past members were considered as ACA elders. We call them ACA elders because they are more experienced than most of the considered founders as of the Association of Catholic Apologists. The founders, particularly Mr. Lagumbay and Father Cabasisi, first knighted me as Sir Knight Raven Jard Castañeda and elected me as the first president of the Association of Catholic Apologists. But I would say that maybe elected is not really the proper term, since we did not yet have a proper constitution at that time. I say that maybe it is appointed. And then Sir Knight Ritchel Lagumbay is formally recognized as the founding father of ACA-Knights of Saint Justin Martyr, while Sir Knight Father Nelson Cabasisi is formally recognized as the spiritual director of our community, of our small organization. Other LCA members who only knew about the issue after the exodus of LCA out of the San Pedro Cathedral, because I think a few months after we declared that we're going to organize ACA, Knights of Saint Justin Martyr, LCA moved their things out of the formation ministry, and they don't have any presence in San Pedro Cathedral at that time because they were rejecting the Novus Ordo Mass that was celebrated in San Pedro Cathedral. So the other LCA members who came to ACA Justinians, when they learned about the issue, were accepted. One of those members, and arguably one of the most pivotal members in the history of ACA, is Sir Knight Keith Obongen II, who introduced ACA Justinians to the youth of San Miguel Parish in Panacan. And it was in the first ACA anniversary in June 2019 that the community of ACA Justinians of San Miguel Parish were formally accepted into the group. And in January 2020, between June 2019 and January 2020, there were further deepening in the understanding of the nature of the group. So basically, the motto of the group is Defensoris Ecclesiae. So it means defenders of the church. And somehow we use we say commonly that our task is to be in defense of the church, specifically the Catholic Church, but through apologetics, through defending the doctrines about faith and morals. But in January 2020, after a conversation between founders Sir General Domine and myself, Sir Raven Castañeda, and of Sir Tom Eronrica, who at that time was not yet a member, the understanding of the organizational motto Defensoris Ecclesiae has been added with another level of depth. I would say it's another level of depth, because from just being a motto for apologetics or giving a rational defense of the Catholic faith, it became, or it was understood as defending the faithful themselves from the, what we might say, some unjust existential realities. The reason for that, the understanding for that Sir John Ryle and Sir Tom Rica and myself came up with when we were talking about this, is that defenders of the church is not merely defending the faith of the church, but the church itself, who is comprised of human persons. And so maybe it's not just about defending the faith and the doctrines of faith and morals. Maybe it's also about promoting the social teachings of the Catholic Church. Maybe it's also more. It's also about doing more charity missions, aside from just aside from just educating our members within classrooms and probably in debates in other areas. But maybe we can also have charity and justice as values of the organization. And so it gained a sphere related to justice and charity. But because of the problem of resources and influence in the social sphere, this new commitment became primarily focused on charity. So it was in January 25, 2020, that we first organized an activity with regard to charity. And it was an activity of going to Home for the Aged, speaking with the elders there, donating some goods. But aside, it's not really about just donations. Charity is not just about donations, but it's about a coming face to face with human persons that the society has abandoned and forgotten. Because we're really convinced that even though this particular facility that we went to, a Home for the Aged, that is a facility supported by the local government of Davao, they're not really given much attention. So I think they're isolated from the community. I realized that when I spoke with a certain elder there, Nanay D. She's not there right now. She's in another place, another city, but she said she's coming back to the Home for the Aged. In any case, the first time we spoke, she said, "Sir, we are given here our primary needs, but you don't really have to give us food or anything when you come here. We only want your presence. We only want someone to talk to, especially young people like you." She said that to me, Sir John Ryle, and Sir Tom Rica. And so we realized that maybe it's not really just about food or money or any material goods. It's more about having another human interact with you after that you felt abandoned and forgotten by society, by the community. And so that is a huge influence in how in the reorganization of ACA. So because of that understanding, another level of depth of understanding of our motto and our identity, there became a sort of diversity on the work that ACA is committed to. So before January 2020, we were very focused about evangelization and apologetics, doing bunch of teaching and debating. But then after that, we created different ministries within the organization, namely Ministry of Formation, Ministry of Evangelization and Apologetics, and Ministry of Charity. So as of this writing, last May 2021 or June 2021, the Ministry of Formation is headed by Sir Ritchel Lagumbay. So he is tasked at the education of the aspirants, and not just education, but also this somehow in terms of forming the prayer life of our aspirants. And then the Ministry of Evangelization and Apologetics is headed by Sir Alain Clint Manzanal, who was also a member of LCA, and when he learned about the issues, he went to Sir Ritchel Lagumbay and said that he wanted to be part of ACA instead of LCA. And then the Ministry of Charity is headed by Sir John Ryle Dumine at that time. So now, as of the making of this video, the current head of the Ministry of Charity is already Ma'am Maya May Priego, daughter of an ACA elder, daughter of Sir Roy Priego. So ACA Justinian elders include but not limited to Sir Joseph Visaya, Sir Roy Priego, and Sir June Homo, and Sir Paul Flores. So Sir Paul Flores is the philosopher and theologian of the group, because he is formally studying philosophy and theology. So that's for the brief history of ACA. That's far from complete history of the Association of Catholic Apologists. But I just want to highlight a few things. Number one, recently, we already have aspirants from Southern Leyte, specifically from the city of Baybay. And we just learned that in Southern Leyte, there are already traditional Latin Mass celebrated by diocesan priests, Diocese of Maasin. But they also encountered some SSPX leaning Catholic faithfuls. Maybe we can call them SSPX supporters, lay faithfuls who are supporting the Fraternal Society of St. Pius X. And so when we learned that there were also some of the members who were aspirants who were somewhat attracted to the SSPX, we immediately reacted. Sir Clint and I immediately reacted. And the reason why we reacted immediately after learning about some seeming attraction to the SSPX by some of our aspirants, was because of our experience in the past, where we struggled for months in terms of somehow convincing the ultra-traditionalists of our past organization, which is LCA, in terms of staying within the church, going to the Novus Ordo Mass celebrated by diocesan priests, and avoiding masses celebrated by SSPX priests whose status in the church is not really that clear. So they have irregular status, and so that's one. But second is that because of that particular experience, because of the experience about debates, discussions about the Eucharist and the nature of the church, the first seminar that we organized was in September 2018, and we discussed about the nature of the church, the authority of the church in terms of liturgy, in terms of teaching, and just clarifying questions about papal infallibility, etc., etc. And then the second was about the Eucharist, about the liturgy, especially the liturgical reformations and restorations around the time of the Second Vatican Council, because we wanted to clarify not only to the members of ACA but also to the catechists and faithful of the under San Pedro Cathedral. We wanted to clarify to them what the issue is and to equip them with some possible arguments to counter the arguments of the supporters of SSPX. And actually, right now, we think that LCA is more hostile to the Second Vatican Council and what they say Vatican II Church than the SSPX themselves. But that's I think a topic for another video. So the point is, the priority of ACA is primarily to educate our members with regard to the Eucharist and to form in them the love for the Eucharist. And I think that it is also partly providential that our patron saint is Saint Justin Martyr, because it is in the writings of Saint Justin Martyr that we also have a clearer sense of what liturgy in the early church looked like. And aside from that, he also had a great amount of writings about the cross and the redemptive suffering of Jesus Christ. And so we think that that's somehow providential. Aside from that, the third thing that I want to point out is, because of those experiences, the formation for members in ACA is a little bit strict. We're not only teaching about apologetics, we're not immediately immersing new aspirants to debate formats or different seminars, workshops about debates. Rather, we want them to experience the Catholic life in its in the great in the tradition. Like, for example, frequently going to the sacraments, especially the sacrament of Eucharist and sacrament of confession. And aside from that, trying to form a prayer life, not only individually to each aspirant, each member, but also as a community. So weekly, usually we gather to pray the rosary, but since pandemic, we are doing it in an online platform in messenger call. But the point is that we want them to experience having a community of Catholics who are trying to live even just the basic requirement of what being a Catholic asks for. So I think that this video is a little bit long. It's already 30 minutes, past 30 minutes. So I think that we'll just leave it here. And if you have any questions about the history of ACA, you can comment down below. You can message the Association of Catholic Apologists. And you can also, if you're interested, you can also join us in our classes. You can find information. We can give you information of that if you message ACA or if you comment down below in this video or any other videos. And please also watch other videos that we are posting in ACA. That would be and share it, share, because that would be a great help for our apostolate. So that's all for this video. See you next time.
Sancte Michael Arcangele, defende nos in prelio. precamur, tuque princeps, militiae